Whoa, we got intro music now, Lev. That's cool.
We're moving up in the world. New technology has been unearthed. This is Feeding the Ducks, and we will be talking about the Ducks, the Oregon Ducks, later in the podcast today. So
yes, that's the name of the royalty-free song that we are using for this intro on the Wildcast podcast. Thank you guys for listening to us on Apple and Spotify. Also, watching the video version on Tucson.com. Make sure you get a subscription today. And I think this video is also on the Wildcaster mobile app, which is very handy dandy. Make sure you download that off the App Store and Google Play. And yes, I am connected, Lev. He made sure.
This is the dad in me coming out, you know. If you are watching on the video feed, you can see Justin's got a very festive sweater situation going on today, a little Christmas sweater.
Ugly sweater. It is the holidays. So I figured I'd get in the spirit. And Lev, I'm actually very excited about this podcast because this is the one where we are going to be diving into the Holiday Bowl. Jordan Hamm will be joining us later in the podcast, per usual, to get into some of our bowl picks. It's been a very entertaining bowl season so far. I love the fact that the Xbox Bowl is handing out like Xbox style trophies to the MVPs. We've got the Arizona Bowl coming up here on Saturday at Casino del Sol Stadium, Miami of Ohio, the defending champs. They will be playing against Fresno State and Rayshon Speedy Luke, who's the Bulldogs' leading rusher, former Arizona running back. Lev has a feature on Speedy coming out on Tucson.com. And then we've got the Holiday Bowl. And then we'll be talking about the Holiday Bowl more in depth later on in the podcast. But Lev, we should probably start. And then, we are going to get into your mailbag questions as well, just so you know. So we got Holiday Bowl breakdown, mailbag questions. We're going to look back on some of the most memorable moments in 2025 in Southern Arizona and also the world of the Arizona Wildcats. So it's going to be a loaded podcast, Lev, but I want to start with kind of the news from Arizona football most recently. So we talked to Brent Brennan. We talked to the coordinators, Danny Gonzalez and Seth Dagey. We got a chance to meet new general manager, Aaron Knotts, who's going to be taking over for Geiska Crowley, who's going over to Arkansas for a same job or the same job. And then he's also bringing Fletcher Kelly, the director of scouting. He will also be joining Arkansas. But yeah, it was interesting getting to know Aaron Knotts a little bit. You know, this is a guy who has been at Washington for the last 12 years. And really the common thread between him and the Arizona football program are the mentors of him and Brent Brennan. Chris Peterson, the former head coach at Washington, who hired him in 2014, hired Aaron Knotts to be kind of like a recruiting intern, and he really has worked his way up over the last dozen or so years. But Chris Peterson has been a mentor of Brent Brennan. And then Ben Thenis, Arizona's chief of staff, was a graduate assistant at Boise State and Washington under Chris Peterson. So Chris Peterson is the common denominator between Aaron Knotts and Arizona football. And so that connection certainly bridged those two. And he's been working with not only Chris Peterson, but Jimmy Lake, Kalen DeBoer, Jed Fish, all coaches, more so Kalen DeBoer and Jed Fish, successful in their own right and have done things kind of their own unique way. And so I think learning from all these other head coaches, I think has really prepared him for what he's about to experience at Arizona. And, you know, you and I got to meet him, Lev. He's a very impressive guy. And, you know, is he going to be the next Geiska Crowley? Is he going to be the guy that finds all the diamonds in the rough, all the guys from the FCS and Group of Five schools and turning them into good players? We'll find out. But after getting a chance to meet with him, I feel very confident in what he's able to do. And then, of course, we got news about the running backs coach with Lyle Moyval, the former Oregon State star quarterback. He's been an assistant at Arizona for the last couple of years, and he's going to succeed Alonzo Carter. He started as a quarterback's coach, And then after Seth Dagey was brought along, they moved Moivau to the assistant running backs coach, and he's been learning under Alonzo Carter. And they just decided let's give Moivau a shot, which I understand, and the running backs apparently signed off on it, and they're very excited about that. So, some interesting news coming out of Lowell Stevens football facility. What say you, Lev?
So Aaron Knotts, this is the first time he's been in a general manager position. So he has a lot to prove in that regard. But as you said, a lot of great mentors over there at Washington. He was in the organization across several different regimes. So, he learned a lot of different things from different people. One of the most interesting things I heard from him yesterday, that was Monday, we're recording this on Tuesday, was that he also has a background in finance. So that actually comes in handy nowadays, right? Like, it's not just picking out the best players, or as you said, like the hidden gems, diamonds in the rough, etc. It's also figuring out what you can afford. Where should we spend our money, right? And there's different pools of money. There's the revenue share money that every program has access to that comes directly from the school. There's also NIL, which is sort of a separate deal, but it is part of a lot of these discussions. So interesting guy, important position. They also recently brought Andrew Morgan back into the organization.
Yeah.
He's a U of A grad who was part of the football program before. He was it Idaho or Idaho State?
Idaho, the Vandals.
Idaho, okay.
And actually, they just signed because there were so many departures at Sacramento State, they have the best recruiting class in the Big Sky. And it's like the best recruiting class in Idaho history, according to in the 24/7 era.
Yeah, so these are people who have some experience in putting rosters together, and these are critical positions, right? Like, people don't really talk about the general manager of the college football program the same way that they might talk about the general manager of the Chicago Bears or the New York Yankees or any number of other professional sports, but things are shifting, right? That is a position of importance and increasing importance.
It's still somewhat taboo in the college world, because Aaron Knotts was saying, he was like, yeah, some schools are still like just now getting with the times, and they're just now hiring general managers or creating roles in that way.
Hey, breaking news, Justin, during the pod.
Ooh.
Dalton Johnson has accepted an invitation to the East-West Shrine Bowl.
Hey, how about that?
So good for Dalton. Dalton is someone who I don't know if he was on the NFL's radar much, if at all, coming into the season, but he had a great year. And I think he is now.
Good for him.
He's someone, maybe he'll follow that kind of, he's a little bit of a tweener safety linebacker, but that worked out really well for another former Wildcat, Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles, and maybe he'll follow his path and have a long NFL career. You can only hope so. Dalton's a really good guy. As far as the running back coach situation, I'm not surprised, I guess, that they went in this direction. Lyle served as essentially the assistant running backs coach for this past season, so he learned everything that Alonzo Carter was all about as a running backs coach. He's someone who has been with Brent Brennan for a long time, was a quarterback in college, and that's his background. But, I don't think that disqualifies you from coaching running backs. The question to me is, how effective of a recruiter will he be? Because that was really, Alonzo Carter was a great recruiter. And you remember he was talking about, hey man, I'm going to be in Texas now. Y'all better look out, kind of thing. Will they be able to make up for what Alonzo Carter brought to the table in the recruiting realm? That's my question. I would also expect them to bring in some sort of analyst or someone who will then be like the assistant running backs coach. Yeah. And I'd be very surprised if that person wasn't a former running back himself when he was a player. So the way that they're able to structure it now is you essentially can have two coaches for every position, which is a very NFL thing to do. It's just like only 10 total coaches can recruit on the road. That's the distinction between like your running back coach and maybe your assistant running back coaches. what they're allowed to do in terms of their recruiting duties.
Yeah, Zoe was able to bring in guys like Ismail Mahdi and Quincy Craig as well, and those guys, Kedrick Risano, who transferred and has been a part of the Brennan and Carter regime. So, yeah, he did a great job of bringing in talent. And, you know, Arizona, they struggled to run the ball his first year, but, I mean, that was just kind of bad circumstances with Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt and his whole eligibility thing and Rayshon Speedy Luke deciding to redshirt. So it was like
the scheme.
Yeah, the scheme. Oh, yeah.
Too. I mean, those guys, Quali Conley actually ended up having a pretty good year.
Yeah.
All considered. And they did have, you know, they had good talent on the offensive line, but there wasn't like the cohesion, the pace, the timing, the rhythm, like all of those things that we've seen lately from their offense were absent in that 2024 season, which, you know, sort of looking like an anomaly at this point, considering they've sandwiched it with really good years, right?
No kidding.
When I know you're working on, I don't want to give away all the goods here, but Justin's working on a timeline that's going to be part of a special section that we're putting out for the Holiday Bowl. And I was thinking about, Justin, sort of like, I'm going to try to visualize what it looks like here. It's going up, 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 and then it's like down here, right? Mm-hmm. And then back up again, right? Like two peaks and a valley in the middle.
I just I can't believe, I think about Jed Fish's last statement as head coach of the Wildcats. He said, I'm kind of paraphrasing here, you know, we've got everything to be a top 10 team. You know, why wouldn't you want to be a part of this? And that was it. That was like his mic drop moment, like, get ready, because we're about to be bigger and better in 2024. And then 2 weeks later, Nick Saban decided to retire. I don't even think it was 2 weeks later. I think it was like 10 days or something like that. It was just like everything just shifted. It was crazy. And to think about everything since that moment, since winning 10 games in the Alamo Bowl, what the program has done to get to 9 wins and repeating what they did 2 years ago, I think it's pretty remarkable.
Truly unexpected, right?
Yeah.
And we thought they would be better this year because of the changes they made with the coaching staff, plus the guys they brought in through the portal. But I know I've mentioned this before, like not even in my wildest dreams did I think they could be 9-3. You know, I thought maybe 7-5 was probably the best case scenario, but here we are, like one of the most successful seasons in recent history, and a chance to become the 5th Arizona football team ever to win double-digit games in the second time in 3 years, which has never been done.
So we know that Noah Fafita is going to be the quarterback for both that Alamo Bowl team and this team, right? Now, one thing that's very interesting, Lev, is we asked Brent Brennan about opt-outs. And are there any healthy available players that might decide to opt out? And Brent said, I don't know. We'll know more after Christmas. And he kind of said sometimes it's all agent, family-based a little bit. And, you know, the guys that come to mind, one, the guy that you just mentioned, Dalton Johnson, who just accepted an invitation to the East-West Shrine Bowl. I would imagine that Dalton plays. I think he would like to finish things off at Arizona, play in that game, continue to improve his draft stock. A guy that's an interesting case is Traydon Stukes. And I think the only reason why we bring him up is, I mean, he has shown he's an NFL guy. I mean, he has made plays this year that shows he could play at the next level. Whether it's a special teams guy, he can get in there and play. He's got the frame, the athleticism to play at the next level. He's going to test well because he comes from a track background and he's super athletic and can jump high. So he's going to wow NFL scouts. And then you could just turn on the tape and you can see that Traydon Stukes can translate to the next level. My thing is, last year he suffered an ACL injury.
Mm-hmm.
Do you put that into consideration, right? Because the Holiday Bowl is a big deal. It is the last bowl game before the college football playoff really gets going. So it's a prestigious bowl in its own right. But if you're Traydon Stukes, man, you got a decision to make. And whatever decision he decides to do, I'm like, dude, respect to you, commend you for it. Me personally, I just put myself into his shoes. I would probably sit out, Lev. I would lean more towards that option because of what I'm facing. So this is going to be a tough one, but I know that a guy like Stooks would certainly love to finish things with Arizona and get one last ride with his brothers.
This reminds me a lot of the Jordan Morgan situation in the Alamo Bowl.
Sure.
Now, Jordan Morgan was projected to be a first-round pick, second-round pick at worst. Traden Stooks is probably a third or fourth rounder, I would say. I think he's going to test really well. I think that's going to help. His production was superb. His versatility, I think, is a big plus. I think we're going to see that interception against ASU over and over and over again in these draft shows leading up to the draft. But if you're him, you have had an ACL in the past. You've been at Arizona for 6 years. You've given everything to this program. Like, is it worth it to risk injury? And I kind of side with you. Like, I wouldn't blame him if he decided to sit out. I didn't blame Jordan Morgan when he decided to sit out the Alamo Bowl. They certainly missed him quite a bit in that game. I was sort of like, man, maybe Jordan Morgan's the MVP of this team because that offensive line was really struggling that day without him. But yeah, tough decision for Traden. I'm sure he'll sit down with his family over the holidays here and kind of figure out what to do. I guess if you're maybe if you're the Arizona coaches, you wish that this game had been before Christmas, so there wouldn't have been that period where the guys are going home and talking to their families and agents. Or maybe they should just say, we're banning Christmas this year. Sorry guys, you're stuck here at the facility. We'll try to make it as nice as possible, but you're not going home.
Yeah, because you have family members, agents. You got. I mean, listen. I know it's a short time, but that's also a lot of time for people to influence decisions. And no matter, I mean, Traden, he's got good people in his corner. Like, I've gotten to know his family over the years, and they're just, it's a great family. And whatever they decide to do as a family, or whatever Traden decides to do individually, I think it's the right choice. You can't go wrong either way if I'm Traden. So
yeah, let's bang out a couple real quick mailbag questions, and then we'll talk a little bit about our 25 for 25 feature that hopefully people have seen. So the first one here comes from Colton Hawthorne, and it is related to what we were talking about earlier with the general manager. He asked, what's the difference in his job versus Brennan with roster construction, etc.? I'm guessing he being Geiske Crowley, he did mostly scouting, but I thought most of the roster stuff was Brennan's / specific position coaches. Yeah. What do you think about that as far as how they go about figuring out whom to recruit and how to put the roster together?
Yeah, it's a collaborative effort with everyone. I mean, it's really all hands on deck. And, Daggy knows the kind of receivers that he would like to have in his offense. Bobby Wade certainly knows how to recruit the kind of receivers that can thrive under his watch. I mean, look at Gio Richardson. Look at Isaiah Mizell. I mean, he's a guy that hasn't done as much as Gio Richardson, but, these are still recruits that are very promising prospects for Arizona. So I think, like when I talk to Aaron Knotts, he's like, I'm still getting to know the roster. I got to know these position coaches and kind of understand what they like and how things fit. And then you go out and you find the guys. And not only do you have to find the right talent, but you also have to find the guys that fit your culture and understand kind of what Arizona football is about. And, I think that, they took a chance on some guys in the portal, right? They took a chance on Chris Hudson. And Seth Daggy said that. He's like, if you were to ask a lot of people, they probably have a bad review of Chris Hudson. But, we took a chance on him, we being Arizona, and it's turned out pretty nicely for the Wildcats. So I think that they understand the kind of players that they want. And now Aaron Knotts, it's up for him to go out and recruit those kind of guys and help facilitate those relationships. And it's also, Andrew Morgan, the guy that you just mentioned, he's going to have a big part in that. They've got a bunch of interns that are combing over film. And the thing about their film review process is so many of these recruits, they're only going to put out their highlights. But these guys, they're looking at everything. They're looking at every single play, and they present the coaches the good and the bad from that film. And then they allow the coaches to make that decision. So there's many filters, many layers for Arizona to get the recruits that they want.
Yeah, I think that if I recall correctly, asking Geiska about this a couple years ago, I think the first thing he said was, they have to be a fit culture-wise, which you mentioned,
Yeah.
right? So Brent Brennan sets the tone, and he has certain like character traits that are like non-negotiable, right? And he talks about those things all the time, right? The big three are you have to be tough, you have to love football, and you have to want to be here. Okay. So it starts like if you don't have those things, like the film is irrelevant.
Yep.
Okay. Then I think, like if let's say we're looking ahead to the like next year's class or the class after that, that's really where the scouting department comes in with they'll look at 1,000 guys, let's say, or maybe
No
even
joke.
more, and
Yeah.
right, and try to like, okay, here's hey, Seth Diggy, here's 10 quarterbacks for you to look at, right? Like I don't think Seth Diggy's going out there and be like, oh, here are the, what do you think? Like Seth Diggy isn't going out and finding the quarterbacks necessarily, right?
Yeah.
I think it's the scouting department that's giving them that big list, and then collaboratively they will narrow it down and figure out in terms of athletic skill, right? Character traits, who are the guys that we want to go after? And also there's a regionality piece to it too. Like Arizona's going to recruit within the state. They're going to recruit the West Coast, California. They have reestablished the Polynesian pipeline in a big way. So they're going to be big in the poly community. Geiska had experience at UNLV before he came here, so he was familiar with kind of the West Coast. And both of the guys that they have brought in to fill those scouting department roles are also kind of West Coast oriented guys. So I think that's a piece of it too.
Absolutely.
All right, so Billy Webb Ellis, 3 questions for us.
Oh, yes.
So how about that? All right, number 1, which team's success was more surprising, 2023 or 2025? 25, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say so. Because now the previous year, 2022, they were 5-7, but they were trending up. They had gone 1-11 the previous season. They ended that season really strong, the 22 season. They beat UCLA at UCLA late in the year, and then they won the Territorial Cup. So you felt like, right, things are trending in the right direction. They had this huge recruiting class that was super promising. So it felt like, yeah, this team could take off. This year's team, like we said earlier, 7-5 was kind of felt like the best case scenario, and they far surpassed that.
Yeah. And like you said, the 5-7 season, you felt like they were just going to flip it the next year. And I mean, certainly it looked like it was going to be somewhat similar the way that Jana DeLaura was playing quarterback. So maybe, Noah Fafita stepping in, we didn't really know the kind of quarterback that Noah was. And so we were like, oh, whoa, look at Noah Fafita. This is the next face of the franchise. So, and then Noah, now in 2025, we kind of know the quarterback that he is, but overall team success, 25 by large.
I would say like how it happened was maybe a little bit surprising in 2023. Not that it happened. Like you said, we did not anticipate a mid-season quarterback change that sort of altered the course of the program.
And neither did Aaron Knotts. Well, we talked to him yesterday because he was at Washington when Noah had his first ever start as an Arizona quarterback. And Aaron Knotts was telling us like, yeah, we were like licking our chops like, oh man, we got a rookie quarterback, and they were impressed by him.
Mm-hmm.
So
and now he's on maybe he's already the best quarterback in program history, but he's certainly on his way to becoming. Okay. Second one from Billy Webb Ellis. Does the long layoff until the Holiday Bowl help or hurt? More time to recover, practice, and develop, or does it kill the regular season momentum? Good question.
That's a really good question. I mean, we'll find out just because, I mean, Arizona had a lot of momentum, but they built it up over a month span. And it was like they were red hot, and then boom, you're not going to be playing a football game for over a month. So that's a long period of time. However, this is a good opportunity for the younger players to get a lot of practice time. And, it's kind of this weird hybrid where you got bowl preparation, but you're also somewhat getting ready for next season, and you have like extended spring practices, but the practices are pretty competitive from what I've heard. So maybe Arizona won't have a rust factor, and they'll be the team that we saw at the end of November. That is something to look forward to.
I think it's both, right? I think there is a momentum situation here, right? Like they were so hot and they like playing the next week. Yes, of course. Like you want to just build on that. On the other hand, Danny Gonzalez told us yesterday that they were down to 4 healthy defensive linemen during that territorial cup.
Yeah.
Right. And somehow, managed to win the game. So they needed to have a little bit of time off to get some guys healthy. Like looks like Tia Savea might be able to come back for the Holiday Bowl. I know Deshaun McKnight has been banged up. I'm sure he would like to be out there. So it always helps after a long season to get a little bit of rest. So I think the answer, I would say, it's sort of a cop-out, is that it's both.
Both.
Right? Okay, one more from Billy Webb Ellis, and this is about baseball. If Sean Kenny is the new pitching coach, which we believe that he is, seems different from Vance and DeRuin, coaching veteran versus rising stars. Is he an analytics guy? Was he considered previously? AZ Cat John also asked, will the new pitching coach for baseball add anyone? Is he a heavy analytics guy? Okay, so as far as I know, they are not going to add anyone else to the staff besides him. They retained Owen Cuff. Owen Cuff is a young guy, former pitcher, who's very well versed in the world of analytics, data, all the cool tech stuff that they utilize now to coach pitching. And he worked under Kevin Vance and John DeRuin last year. So he's going to stay on in his role, and he's going to be the assistant to Sean Kenny, who hasn't officially been announced, but I was told that that's what's going to happen, coming over from Iowa. I don't know if he is a big analytics guy, but I do know that Chip Hale is a big believer in analytics. So I don't think you really have much of a choice.
Yeah.
Right. They are going to lean into that element of baseball instruction and strategy when it comes to coaching their guys. That's just the way the world is now. Like players coming into college, they expect it. And they've got this pitching lab. And I don't think he would have hired someone who would poo-poo analytics.
But, man, he's got a very impressive resume. I mean, last year at Iowa, didn't they go from like 109th to 16th or something like that in ERA?
Yeah, they had a really good, really big bump at Iowa. He's got extensive experience on the West Coast too. Back in the day, coached at Pepperdine, where he was a pitching coach and recruiting coordinator, and one of the San Diego schools. I have to look up which one it was because there are so many that play baseball in San Diego. And then he went. Then he was at Georgia. He was at Michigan, Maryland, Georgia. He worked under Eric Bakich, who's a very successful college baseball coach. So it seems like a good hire.
Well,
my hope is that like this is a destination job for him. Like this will be his 4th school in 4 years, I think. But I don't think for most people, like Arizona baseball it's not a stepping stone, right? Like this is one of the top programs in the country. This is the kind of place that you want to be. So hopefully he will plant roots here, and and this will be like his kind of his last big job, assuming he's successful and things work out here. It was University of San Diego, was the so USD and Pepperdine. He was pitching coach and recruiting coordinator. So West Coast experience as well.
And I mean, he's in his 60s, right?
50s. No, early 50s.
Early 50s? Okay.
Yeah, early 50s. Yeah.
Okay, I was going to say, is he like set to retire soon? But no, he's still got lots of life left as a coach. Okay.
Yeah, I feel very comfortable with the demographic over there at the baseball office as a mid-50s white mid-50s gentleman myself. We have a lot to talk about over there.
Lots of Bruce Springsteen being played. All right. So let's talk about our feature before we get Jordan Hamm on the show.
Yeah.
We did this collaborative project. It was myself, Lev, Elvia Verdugo, our community sports editor, and Bruce Pasco. You know him, our basketball guy. Lev and him just did a podcast recently. We pretty much just listed in chronological order, just because there's just way too many great moments to rank. So we went over the calendar and just looked at some incredible moments that happened in this year. And we did 25 memorable sports moments in Tucson, also in Arizona athletics. And man, lots of great moments, Lev. We can go through the entire list real quick. I mean, we can do a whole podcast just kind of going through this list. So we'll kind of quickly go through it. But man, it was a really good year. I think me personally, my favorite moment, or if you want to consider the best moment, was Arizona Triathlon winning their second national championship. They've won more national championships than they have not, because they're in their third year as a program and they've won 2 championships. So
that's pretty good.
It's amazing stuff there.
Have you ever talked to Kelly Wetland?
She's a very impressive person.
The star. She is seemingly so nice, sweet young girl, and apparently an absolute badass and assassin in the triathlon circuit, right? You would never think so from talking to her, because she's just kind of so charming. But man, I don't think I'd want to race against her.
No way.
Because, no.
And she's coming back, apparently.
Is that right?
Yeah. So she can make it 3 in a row as an individual champion. But yeah, Bijan Robinson was named a Pro Bowl. He was just named a Pro Bowler today, at the time that we are recording this, but he was also named a Pro Bowler earlier in the year as well. Caleb Love's 60-foot shot against Iowa State, Tucson Rodeo celebrating 100 years, the World Baseball Classic qualifiers. I mean, the list goes on and on, Lev.
I would say my singular favorite moment of the year was the Caleb Love shot. Happened to be in the building, saw the ball. We're down in the corner, the direction that they're shooting. It was just it was a moment unlike anything I have ever experienced in my life. And Caleb himself said the best moment of his life.
Absolutely.
Caleb Love, who, by the way, has had some really good games with the Portland Trailblazers.
Yep.
Right, as an undrafted free agent. So good for Caleb. He was really well liked while he was here. I would say another moment that stood out for me. Again, I was had the privilege of being there in the building. Was Arizona baseball rallying to defeat North Carolina in the Super Regionals and go back to the College World Series. I mean, they got blown out in the first game. They rallied to win the second game, and then they're pretty much dead to rights in the third game, trailing late. Routine grounder gets booted by the North Carolina second baseman, opens the door. Mason White, of all people, Tucson's very own, drives in 2 runs with a single to give them the lead. Stopper of the year nationally, Tony Pluta, shuts the door. And then, from this raucous atmosphere down in Chapel Hill, you get silence.
Yeah.
Right. Just complete dejection on the part of all those North Carolina fans, which is the best feeling. If you are a road team in any situation, right? You love silencing the crowd. So that was a very, very cool moment, again, to be on hand to witness that happening.
Captain Shutdown, right? Tony Pluta?
Professor Shutdown.
Oh, Professor Shutdown. Sorry.
Yes. Yes. This Brian Peterson, I think, is the one who came up with that nickname, our colleague, because the very scholarly Tony Pluta, who's also what is his major? It's one of those majors that requires you to actually go to class. Super smart dude, academic All-American on top of everything else. We decided Professor Shutdown was the nickname. He really likes it too, so might be something that catches on. Check out that list if you get a chance. Tucson.com. We are also republishing our all quarter century teams
Yeah.
which was this really cool feature that we did in summer. Sometimes people miss things that we do in summer. We decided to rerun the whole thing. So that's all quarter century U of A football, U of A men's basketball, women's basketball, baseball, softball, and then we did them for high school, the same sports. So it's a 10-part series that was done by our staff, and it's really fun read and an opportunity for people to just reminisce about some of the great athletes that we've had over the last 25 years.
I think I might have to redo mine for Arizona football. Quarterback, I have Nick Foles. Defensive backs, I don't have Traydon Stukes or Dalton Johnson.
Did you do one team or two teams?
I did one team.
Interesting.
One team. So
Noah has, I don't know. I mean, we had a cutoff, so
yeah,
I'd say Noah has stated his case for sure.
Yeah.
And Dalton Johnson and Traydon Stukes are in that conversation at the very least.
Yeah. And speaking of Noah, that was my favorite, like, in-person moment that I witnessed was when he set the career touchdowns record at Cincinnati. Because no one really thought, everyone thought that they would be competitive, but to go on the road and beat Cincinnati, a really good, well-rounded Cincinnati team, and for Noah to have that moment, I thought was very special and one of the best moments of the season for Arizona. But yeah, it's so many other things like Arizona business students going to Vegas and winning the Microsoft Excel championship. We've got esports, we've got national championships, we've got records, state championships. It's a good.
God, how many state titles did South Point Catholic win?
Oh man,
this year, like half a dozen. I mean,
both soccer programs, baseball, girls flag football, volleyball. Yeah.
First year that they played girls flag football, by the way.
Yeah.
And they won the whole thing. Now I do think, if I recall this correctly, I think they're moving up from 4A to 5A.
I think so.
In the non-football sports. So it'll be interesting to see if they're able to repeat that type of success at a slightly higher level, but I wouldn't bet against them.
Yeah. And our guy T-Mac getting drafted, all the Arizona Wildcats getting drafted. T-Mac might win Rookie of the Year, Lev. How about that?
Yep. I'm not surprised in the least. None of us here are.
Steve Smith might be a little surprised. But that's a conversation for another day. Anyways, let's move on to everyone's favorite segment. Let me see if I can get this right.
Nice.
Jordan Hamm.
Look at that audio drop. It's like you work in radio or something.
We just recently discovered we have these sound effects. So yeah, we've got all kinds of surprises in store. Welcome back, Jordan.
Great seeing you both.
This is Big 12 Bowl Bonanza. This is like Big 12 Bonanza, but only like weirder and harder. And
I was looking through some of the end. I'm like,
holy cow.
Who has their quarterback? Who has their starting running back? Yeah.
I will say Action Network has a good sort of running list of potential opt-outs, portal entries, etc. On their website. So that is a good sort of one-stop shop to find out a lot of that information. And that was helpful for me. So I was doing some research on some of these games. We should catch up on the standings, shouldn't we?
We should.
Before we get started to see where we are here. This is the last. Well, we will look, if Texas Tech wins, we will continue to pick the Texas Tech games, probably offline. But this will be this is really the last shot anybody has to change the standings, alter the outcome of things. There are 8 total games that we will be picking today. As of this recording, Justin remains in first place against the spread with a sterling record of 48-52.
Vibes only.
I'm going to give that. Jordan's only one game behind at 47-53. I'm not that far behind either at 44-56, which is just really nothing to be proud of. Straight up, Justin 70-30. I am 69-31, and Jordan, the agent of chaos, 65-35. Do you guys have any comments before we get started here, or do you want me to just start rolling into these things?
You live by the chaos, you die by the chaos. And I have this last month, I have died a lot.
All right. Well, everyone's favorite bowl, I think, is the best way to start this off. And that is the Pop-Tarts Bowl.
Yes.
Featuring Georgia Tech and BYU. This is a good game. Like, some of these games are like not great with all the opt-outs and injuries and portal stuff. But, you've got Haynes King up against Bear Bachmeier, two very similar physical running quarterbacks. You got Georgia Tech coming off a 9-3 season and BYU an 11-2 season, with their only 2 losses coming against Texas Tech, one of the best teams in the country. It does seem like most BYU players are going to play in this game of prominence. That's our belief anyway. They took their bowl game last year very seriously against Colorado and absolutely blew them away, even with, Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter playing in that game. I guess this game probably comes down more than anything like who can stop the run. You got 2 top 35 rushing attacks. If you look at the stats, BYU has a better run defense than Georgia Tech. They're 32nd in the country. Georgia Tech is 95th. The point spread for this game, which is taking place in Orlando, Camping World Stadium, the Cougars are favored by 4.5 points. What do you guys think?
4.5 points. Yeah. I think that's fair. I do think, though, that I think Georgia Tech's rushing attack, matches up well against BYU. Now, I do fear, though, because I'm looking at conversions here, and I think is Georgia Tech. They're kind of middle of the road when it comes to red zone defense and red zone offense. So if BYU can force Georgia Tech to kick a lot of field goals, I think BYU will be in pretty good shape. Now, the big thing here is, does BYU open against Notre Dame next year? Is that a thing?
I know they just signed a contract to have a series. I don't know if they actually open the season against them. I'll try to look that up.
Okay. Well, no matter if they open up the season or not, I think that BYU should give every Notre Dame player a box of Pop-Tarts in their lockers when they show up to Provo, Utah. But with that being said, I'm excited for this game. I love the fact that both teams are leaning into the whole Pop-Tarts angle. They're going to have the sprinkles on their helmet decals. And Kalani Sitake is a madman who stacks his Pop-Tarts on top of each other and eats it. But I think BYU, they're a really good team. I think that they're not going to go out and lay an egg. They want to show that they belonged in the college football playoff, and I think they roll. I think Georgia Tech will keep it very interesting. I think, Haynes King and that offense, they'll try to control time of possession. If they don't have a lot of takeaways, I think Georgia Tech will have an opportunity, but I'm going to go with BYU by a touchdown.
So they are playing Notre Dame BYU in Provo next year because of the halt with Notre Dame USC. Perhaps maybe a Pop-Tart flavored Cougar tail to start the season.
Yes.
Not telling them how to do their jobs, but it's sitting right there. I'm going to go with BYU. I think they want to look back on this season and be like, hey, aside from Texas Tech, we were perfect. And, we ran into a buzzsaw, but to finish that one out strong, looks like a lot of those guys, as Lev said, are going to play. And I just think it's one of those things, like if Sitake gets closer to a Pop-Tart, I feel like he's going to get stronger. So he's just going to be, in his aura, just coaching a perfect game. So
could you eat Pop-Tarts and crumble cookies? Like together, is that too many desserts, too many sweets?
Pop-Tarts in the morning.
Is Pop-Tarts like a breakfast and crumble cookies is maybe a dessert later in the day?
Yeah, Pop-Tarts are on the go. Crumble cookie is when you're at
now with that attitude.
So you got your carrying case. You're running around.
Do you guys still eat Pop-Tarts?
If it's offered to me for free, like I'm not buying a box of Pop-Tarts at the grocery store, but like if I'm at like a media event or if there's something where Pop-Tarts are available, I'll probably get it. I'm a big strawberry Pop-Tart guy.
Okay.
That is my jam. Good strawberry Pop-Tart. And you definitely got to toast it, man.
Yes,
You know,
for
like,
sure.
Yeah, you got to put a little effort in.
Yeah.
Go that extra step for sure.
Yeah.
I'm same with Spears. If I encounter them in my life and they're readily available, sure, but not taking them home necessarily.
I had one at Big 12 Media Day.
Oh, nice.
Did they have them at Big 12 Media Day?
Yeah.
I was busy with the bagel bites.
Yeah,
from a couple of years ago, so that had my attention.
I need to catch up with you guys in the standings here. So I'm going to take BYU to win and Georgia Tech to cover, just for funsies, which may be a trend as we go through the games here. I may just be the contrarian because I don't have any other choice, and I really have no clue on a lot of these bowl games. Speaking of which,
truly,
we have the Texas Bowl. This is LSU against Houston. This game is at NRG Stadium down there in Houston. This game is sponsored by a barbecue sauce that we love here at the Love household, but I don't know how to pronounce it. Is it Kinders or Kinders? Do we know the proper pronunciation? I feel bad about that.
I thought it was Kinders.
Is it Kinders? Okay.
Yeah.
Really good barbecue sauce, said, and an appropriate sponsor for a game in Houston. The Cougars are favored in this game by 2.5. And why would that be? Well, I mean, LSU not only are, in the midst of a coaching transition into the Lane Kiffin era, but they have a bunch of players who are not going to be playing in this particular game, plus a lot of injuries. Just a couple names that you might be familiar with. Garrett Nussmeier, he suffered an injury during the season. He's not going to play. Mansour Delane, projected first-round cornerback. Harold Perkins, I think a lot of people are familiar with his game. Linebacker. Those are just some of the LSU players who are not going to play. Looks like Connor Wegman is going to play for Houston. Not only that, he's coming back next year. I did not know that he had eligibility, but he does, and he said that he's going to be back. There are some potential opt-outs, not totally clear. Dean Connors, Tanner Koziel, Eddie Walls, some names you're familiar with on the Houston side. I think what this game comes down to is, like, are Houston's frontline players better than LSU's backups, right? This is sort of a referendum on, like, is the SEC really so much better that a bunch of backup players could defeat, one of the better Big 12 teams, a team that had the exact same record as Arizona, by the way, this year, 9-3, 6-3, and beat them head to head. So Cougars are favored by 2.5. Game is in Houston. What do you guys think?
So you said Tanner Koziel is potentially opting out?
Yeah, there's, like, if you look at, it's hard to find this information. If you look at Action Network's list, they have some guys who are like potential opt-outs.
Yeah.
Like,
it says he accepted
unclear,
a Senior Bowl invite, but does that mean he's not going to play? I feel like, because didn't he come from a small school from last year? Right?
Yes, he did. Yeah, I think from the MAC.
I feel like if he's healthy, like, he's got to, you put one season of Power 4 level football out there, like, get as many games as you can in there.
Yeah. So I think, that's a big thing, because Tanner Koziel, Dean Connors, like, those are all guys that are very key to their success. I'm just going to go ahead and assume that all of those guys are playing. Houston is trending upwards right now.
Mm-hmm.
Them and Arizona were really the surprises of the Big 12 this year. And it's nice to see that both Noah Fafita and Connor Wegman are coming back in a year where so many quarterbacks are entering the transfer portal. So I'm going to go with Houston to win this game, just because, the continuity with all the starters, if all those guys play, I think that'll translate to the bowl game. And then LSU, they've got bright days ahead with Lane Kiffin, but I think with just so much starter status or star power more on Houston's side of things, I'm going to go with the Cougars. And Amari Thomas is playing, correct?
I haven't seen his name anywhere as far as opting out or anything of the sort. So, yeah, that would be a big weapon for Houston to have. Connor Wegman, like I said, it seems like he's going to play. He's planning to be back next year. And, he's a very tough and gritty quarterback who's, not going to go out there and half-ass it. So,
and he's got some experience, right, from his time at Texas A&M playing against LSU. So maybe some familiarity helps out Houston.
Yeah. Justin, it's interesting you mentioned that parallel between U of A, Houston. You have Wegman coming back. You have Fafita coming back. They also have 2 Elite 11 quarterbacks now that will get to learn behind those guys. Oscar Rios for U of A, and then Keyshawn Henderson, who was super impressive when I was out there. I loved what Oscar did, and Keyshawn was another one that really stood out in that very talented group. So feel like the trajectory for both of them are in really good spots. For me, this kind of feels like Houston wants to put a bow on a good season, and LSU is already transitioning into that new chapter. So is this kind of like, hey, let's get this stuff set up for Lane and all the new people coming in and all this sort of stuff, where Houston's like, hey, let's build upon this. Let's get to double-digit wins. So I'm going to take Houston.
Yeah, I agree with both of you guys. I'm going to take Houston in this one. It does have that feel to it, right? Like, really good season for Houston. Let's finish it the right way. Whereas LSU is just in this total transition phase. Not sure how motivated they're going to be to win this game. So I will also take the Cougars in this one. And I think the spread is pretty reasonable too. It's only 2.5 points. So they just have to win by a field goal. All right. Moving on to now, those games were on December 27th, Saturday. This game here, the Alamo Bowl between USC and TCU, is on December 30th. The Alamo Bowl, of course, Justin, very familiar. Were you down there when they went to the Alamo Bowl, Jordan?
Yeah.
Arizona? Yeah. Okay. So you guys know what that whole scene is like down at the Alamo Dome.
It's awesome.
San Antonio, great setup down there. Big portal news out of TCU since last we met, with Josh Hoover going into the portal. Big loss for the Horned Frogs, who are coming off a pretty good season of 8-4, 5-4 in the league. That means that Ken Seals is going to start at quarterback for them in this game. Ken Seals is one of those guys. Started his career at Vanderbilt in 2020. And here we are 6 years later. He will end his college career with a start, assuming he doesn't apply for more eligibility, which is always a possibility these days. USC, meanwhile, a ton of opt-outs. Very well-known players, such as Biletnikoff winner Mekhi Lemon at wide receiver, fellow wide receiver Jacoby Lane, Kamari Ramsey, who's an all-conference safety. There are some potential opt-outs for TCU, guys that you probably know pretty well, like Eric McAllister. And they're some of the really good defenders like Jamel Johnson and Caleb Elarms-Orr. But Sonny Dykes said he was optimistic, quote unquote, that most of those guys were going to play. USC is favored in this game by 6.5. They will have their quarterback for this game, who announced he's going to return next year.
Jada
Maiava. So I don't know what to make of this game. I'm going to let you guys go first, and then I will chime in. USC favored by 6.5 over TCU in San Antonio.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of this game, just because so many opt-outs for USC. I've participated in fantasy college football for the first time ever this year. Shout out to Fajitas. We did not make it to the championship, but I will say this: having Mekhi Lemon and Jacoby Lane on my team, they definitely got me a lot of points. Losing that star power, that's huge for USC. But maybe Jada Maiava can establish his connections and his weapons for next season. So I'm going to go with USC to win this game, just because I really don't know much about Ken Seals other than the fact that he's Josh Hoover's backup and he started his career at Vanderbilt. And Maiava is having a pretty solid year this year. And I think USC, they got to be feeling, good about next year. I mean, they've got, I think, one of the top, if not the top recruiting class for 2026. So I think getting a win, setting the scene for next year, I think is definitely conceivable. So I'm going to go with USC to win and cover.
This was one of the weird ones coming in when we were trying to figure out where everybody was going and the bowl tie-ins and all this stuff, because I see TCU get the holiday or get the Alamo Bowl, and that's technically higher than the Sun Bowl where ASU is going, but ASU played better than them. But then I realized ASU wouldn't have gone into TCU spot. It would have gone to USC spot because of the weird Big 12, Pac-12, all that affiliation. So I remember keeping a close eye on this one and being like, wait, how does this work? Mm-hmm. That's why it works. I'm going to go with, without Hoover, you just don't know what this is going to look like. And there are so many opt-outs everywhere, but I feel like if you opt out with a starting quarterback and one that was as established as Josh Hoover, like there's going to be some carryover there. And as if you start having some of those wide receivers step out of the game as well. So I'll go USC to go ahead and win this. I'll have them cover too. So I'll take USC across the board.
All right. Well, just to be different, I'll take USC to win, but TCU to cover. No idea what's going to happen in this game. I'm not sure the coaches know what's going to happen either. All right. December 31st, the Sun Bowl in El Paso, Texas.
Bobby Hurley Bowl.
Let's
go.
ASU and Duke.
Let's
go. There's been a lot of news out of Tempe over the last few weeks. Jordan, why don't you get us caught up a little bit on what's going on up there?
Yeah. So it was a lot of is Kenny Dillingham going to go to Michigan? He had a press conference where he got really emotional. At first, people were like, oh, that means he's staying. And then that meant, wait, does that mean he's going? And he's sad because he's leaving. And you're trying to pick up all this nuance from these sound bites. And, we're all just kind of camped out there. And I think Kenny personally played it very, very well, where he did not give up any leverage. And if you look at this new contract that he signed, a lot of it really isn't like putting more money directly in his pocket. It is setting up the program to be at a competitive level and to add to that assistant coach pool so he can pay his guys more. So I think he's a very savvy negotiator. I think him and Bobby Hurley, for fans that aren't around them a lot, like they get just this picture of like, oh, these crazy guys. And especially with Kenny, but like Kenny is super smart and he knows like how to send out a message through the media. And sometimes by him not saying anything, he's also sending out a message. So there's that. We've had a couple guys, or ASU's beat has had a couple guys declare for the draft. Jordan Tyson, Keith Abney, Raleek Brown, some of these other seniors there. I imagine some of these guys would end up playing. And then a couple days ago, CJ Fight, their man in the middle for the defense, announced he's coming back. So that was a win for the defense, certainly. But yeah, a lot of moving pieces. And now it's kind of like, okay, we have a general idea of what the coaching staff is going to be. Let's see how they wrap up this year and what it looks like here in 2026.
Yeah, that's a lot. What did you make of his plea for someone to cut a check for $20 million?
Kenny is what I call abs, and that's always be selling. And, right after when they, it was 2024, and I think the over-under for win total for them was like 4.5, and they hit 5. And in the post-game press conference, he said, hey, if you just won money hitting the over, go take a portion of that and put it into our NIL. So he's always looking for those opportunities to do that. Now, I think there were more eyeballs on him at that moment, and that's a bigger sum than he usually mentions. A lot of it has been, hey, on the ground level, we can build this up. And then this past one, it was like, we just need like 1 or 2 mega donors to help take this thing over the top. So I wasn't surprised that he brought that up. I'm honestly kind of surprised of some of the reaction that it got from, where it was, him just begging for more money. I don't think it was really a beg. He's just a salesman. And like I said, he's savvy at getting a message out there. And I think he knew there was going to be a lot of attention on him that day. And maybe he could reach some people he doesn't usually reach through the media.
I had the devil and the angel on my shoulder, no pun intended with devil, when I saw that, because I was like, this is like a millionaire's version of panhandling. Like,
right.
Asking for money. You got the sign like, hey, please give us money. But at the same time, like, you're using the media, you're using social media and a large platform to get that message out there. So maybe a millionaire, billionaire who's invested in ASU hears that. So that part of me was like, okay, Kenny, come on. But then I'm also like you, I'm like, he's selling the program. And you know what? That message right there could result in maybe gosh, is it Cody Campbell, the guy who's connected to Texas Tech? Maybe there's someone like that out there for ASU.
And I think there's a level of some people read that as desperation. I think Kenny just in some ways, and I mean this kind of as a compliment, not as a dig. He's shameless. Like he's just like, they won't say yes if I don't ask. So let's just ask.
100%.
You know? And let's just you miss 100% of the shots you don't shoot. So go ahead and shoot.
I was going to say, what's the downside, right? The worst case scenario is that they don't have a $20 million check now and they still don't. And the best case scenario is maybe someone does cut them a check or they get 10 million or whatever, more money than what they had. Checking in with Duke, the opposition in this game. This is your ACC champion, Duke Blue Devils.
Good for the Sun Bowl, man.
Defeated Virginia in the ACC title game. Darian Mensah, their very good quarterback, announced that he's going to be back for another season at Duke. So we expect him to play. They do have a handful of opt-outs, a couple starting players, offensive tackle and a cornerback. But otherwise, Duke seems like they are in pretty good shape. Duke is favored in this game slightly at 2.5 points. This is, of course, the noon game on New Year's Eve day, and it's traditional time slot and CBS broadcast. What do you guys think about this game? Who's going to win?
I'm a little bit biased in this pick, just because we recently had John Fina on the show, and his son Bruno Fina is the starting left tackle for the Duke Blue Devils. He's not one of the opt-outs, right, Lev?
Nope.
Okay.
Didn't see his name. Nope.
So if you guys see John Fina wearing Duke shirts around, he's supporting his son. It's not like he's gone crazy or anything like that. But yeah, Roman Fina is also on the team as well. So for the Fina's sake, I'm going to go with the Dookie Blue Devils to win this game. And Manny Diaz will be doused with Frosted Flakes by the end of the game.
I'm going to go Arizona State. There's a lot of opt-outs, but this is a way that Jeff Sims can cap off his career. And he, we got the full Jeff Sims experience this year. A lot of, some games where he completely took it over. You saw against U of A how much he struggled. But this is a way, I think, against an opponent he's probably played a couple times against Duke. They will have Cam Dyer, the freshman quarterback who got cleared from his ACL a couple weeks ago. They will have some packages for him as well. But Kenny Dillingham has talked a lot about the importance of hitting the 20 win mark over the last 2 years. And that's really important for the program. And that hasn't happened many times. That happened at the beginning in his first tenure when he was on Todd Graham's staff. And I think he has a lot of value in that. And the defense has played really, really good this year. They will have to figure out the secondary a bit, but I think if you give them a month to figure it out, they will. So I think it's going to be a close one. I really like Mensah. I was actually kind of disappointed when I heard he was coming back because I thought he could maybe be a target for some schools that we definitely talk about a lot in the Big 12. But I love the way that he plays, and I think that's a clear advantage there at quarterback. But I'll take the Sun Devils.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Duke in this one. Same kind of analysis that I had for the Territorial Cup, which was which team has the better quarterback, right? And I think that clearly is Duke in this game. I will say, I expect ASU to play hard. I expect them to show up because Kenny Dillingham's a really good motivator. And they generally do show up in these situations. I just think with the opt-outs and all of that stuff that Duke is just slightly better for this particular ball game. All right. Later on December 31st, a little bit later on, 1:30 p.m., we've got Nebraska and Utah in the Las Vegas Bowl. This is by far the biggest spread of any of the games that we have. Utah is favored by 16.5 points in this game against Nebraska. And why would that be the case? Well, probably because it's Kyle Whittingham's last game as the Utes head coach. So they figure they're going to be extremely motivated and will play really hard in this game. Utah, though, will be without Spencer Fano, projected first-round pick, one of their starting tackles, Caleb Lomu, their other starting tackle, another projected high pick, and Logan Fano, defensive end. When you combine that with the loss of John Henry Daly during the season, their top sacker, that's a lot of missing parts from the offensive and defensive lines. Nebraska, meanwhile, Dylan Raiola got injured during the season. He's going in the portal, so they don't have him anymore at quarterback. Looks like Devin Dampier is going to play in this game, and he said he's going to be back next year at Utah, creating a very interesting dynamic at the quarterback position for the Utes, with our guy Bird Ficklin also coming back. So I would expect both of those guys to play, as happened down the stretch for the Utes, and that will continue into 2026 with some interesting quarterback packages and so forth. Big spread in this one, Utah versus Nebraska. Nebraska was 7-5 this year, 4-5 in the Big Ten, just kind of okay. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think that Utah will come out and dominate this game. No Dylan Raiola, and he won't be going to Texas Tech. He was very disappointed when someone told him, no, you don't got to tear your ACL and mimic everything that Patrick Mahomes does. So you don't got to do that. So yeah, he won't be going to Texas Tech. I'm curious what school he's going to end up at. But they're starting TJ Lateef. I think that's the freshman quarterback's name. He's a true freshman starting in a bowl game against a very experienced Utah team. So I think the Utes roll in this game. I'm curious to see what the fan turnout is. I know Utah is going to show out. Like, they're going to have a lot of fans. But I'm wondering, Nebraska fans, do they have the same amount of investment in this game as other games in the past, considering all the opt-outs and just kind of the expectations for this game? So I'm curious how many of the fan base from the Big Red shows out in Las Vegas, but I got Utah winning and covering.
I also have to think, to a degree, just getting out of Nebraska into Vegas for a couple days might be a bit of a draw as well. Either way, the crowd is going to be red. So we have that.
Very red.
I'm going to go Utah as well. I think they want to bring usher Kyle Whittingham into whatever new chapter this is for him.
Michigan.
You said it, not me. But they want to turn that page with a win. So yeah, I'll go ahead and take them. And I would love to see them not throw the ball once. It's just Ficklin and Dampier just alternating snaps, running the ball and seeing what they can do.
If Kyle Whittingham still wants to coach, why wouldn't Michigan hire him?
Right.
They're sort of in a desperate situation. Justin mentioned earlier, TJ Lateef does seem to be a little bit banged up, so I'm not sure if he's going to be available for this game, but he did play against Iowa in the season finale, a game that Nebraska lost 40-16. He was 9 for 24 for 69 yards.
Not nice.
So, yeah, all the signs do point to Utah, but I'm going to be consistent here. And to go against you guys, I'm going to take Nebraska to cover the spread. Utah could win this game, 41-27 or 34-20 or something of that nature. They did kind of struggle a little bit down the stretch, some closer games than a lot of us thought. So give me the Utes to win and the Cornhuskers to cover. Okay, now moving on to January 1st. This is the real stuff. We've got Oregon and Texas Tech in a college football playoff quarterfinal. What a game this is going to be down at the Orange Bowl, right? This is number 4 seed against the number 5 seed. The explosive Oregon offense against the stingy Texas Tech defense. If you look at PFF rankings for units, Oregon has the number 1 pass blocking grade in the country and the number 15 run blocking grade in the country. Texas Tech, number 1 run defense, number 1 pass rush. So this is strength on strength. Oregon, even though they are the lower seed in this game, number 5, they are favored slightly, 1.5 points. This game is at a quote unquote neutral site down at the Orange Bowl. Even Dan Lanning himself said this should be a home game for Texas Tech. This is stupid. Why are we doing this? Yeah, great game. Cannot wait to watch this game. I think it's maybe the best matchup of the entire quarterfinal round. What do you guys think about Texas Tech against Oregon?
Man, this game is going to be awesome. This is the one game that I really have circled on my calendar just because of Oregon's high-powered offense. Sadiq at tight end, right? He's a really dynamic player.
Oregon has this a gazillion weapons. Even with all the injuries they've had at wide receiver, it's just like one dude after another who seems like they can take the ball 80 yards to the house.
Yeah, I think, though, Sadiq and like the other tight ends, they got to do a really good job of like chip blocking and being physical in this game. Because I think in terms of physicality, Texas Tech's defense is going to bring it. Those guys up front are nasty. Jacob Rodriguez, in my opinion, is the best defensive player in college football right now. And so I think the home crowd is definitely going to favor more towards Texas Tech. Man, I think this is going to be a close game. I think it would not surprise me one bit if Oregon comes out, they take care of business. But I think because of the defense, I think I'm going to go with Texas Tech to win this game. It's going to be a hard-fought game, but I got the Red Raiders pulling this one out.
Yeah, when it comes down to like the splitting of hairs, we've mentioned it before here in this very segment, like always try to lean the better quarterback. I feel like that's Dante Moore over Baron Morton. The Texas Tech defense is incredible, but it's not one of those like stop this one player and you can slow down Oregon. There are 8 guys you can go to, and one of the some of the best offensive minds there over at Oregon that can really manipulate that. So I'll go with the Ducks.
So when you look at a lot of the stats versus the perception, okay, like we all think Oregon has this incredible offense. It's way better than Texas Tech's offense, right? Scoring offense nationally, Texas Tech is 2nd, Oregon is 9th. Total offense, Texas Tech is 5th, Oregon is 11th. Interesting. What is the flaw, though, of this Texas Tech team? You cited the quarterback play. It's just been kind of okay. They're just not very good in the red zone.
Yeah.
Like they are 98th in the country in touchdown percentage in the red zone. That is a really, I think, key thing to watch in this particular game. Texas Tech also has the number 1 run defense in the nation. So is Oregon going to be able to run the ball against them, or is it all going to be on Dante Moore? Since you guys are split on this one, I can't really go against the flow. I will take Texas Tech just to rep the Big 12 here. I feel like they can kind of use that nobody believes in us thing a little bit because they're slight underdogs in this game, even though they are the higher seed. So I think they can use that to their advantage. And like you said, Justin, wouldn't surprise me either way with this one. I think it's going to be a really, really good, fun college football game. Kind of what this playoff is supposed to be about, right? Unlike some of the games in the first round. Okay. Moving on to January 2nd, 2 more games here. Navy against Cincinnati. Navy, when I sent this out, favored by 7.5 over the Bearcats. They're kind of reeling right now. Brendan Sorsby going into the portal. It has been reported that Dante Corleone and Jake Golday, Cincinnati's top defenders, are going to be opting out of this game. Their entire secondary has gone into the portal.
Yeah.
Or has announced they're going into the portal because their DB coach is going to Arkansas. So I don't know. It feels like Cincinnati's kind of leaking oil here a little bit. They lost their last 4 games of the season as well. And they had Brendan Sorsby and those other guys at that point in time. Without Brendan Sorsby, you're looking at a combination of Brady Lichtenberg and Samaj Jones at quarterback. Lichtenberg is kind of that career backup type guy, whereas Samaj Jones was a big-time recruit, 4-star dual threat guy who was recruited by Oklahoma, Louisville, Penn State, and others. On the other side, you've got Navy, which is 10-2, had a really, really good season, topped off with a come-from-behind 17-16 victory over Army. 7.5 point spread. The Liberty Bowl in Memphis is the site of this particular game. What do you guys think about Navy versus Cincinnati?
Have you guys ever been to Glacier National Park?
Have not had the pleasure.
Have not.
Okay. Well, Brian Newberry, Navy's head coach, apparently before he became a coach, he was a tour guide at Glacier National Park in like the Montana area. Very unique background, this guy. And of course, he's the head coach of Navy. I agree with you, Lev. I think that leaking oil is the perfect way to describe Cincinnati right now. Man, this team has so much momentum. Like, they were considered a top tier team in the Big 12, and then Arizona beat them, and they have not been the same since then. So Cincinnati's in a very vulnerable spot right now. Meanwhile, Navy, they've been a pretty solid team all year long. Such a great game. That Army-Navy game came all the way down to the wire. I think this Navy team will put a bow on their season, and they'll go out on top.
It's interesting, too, with Cincinnati, because last year they started 2, and those 2 losses were by a combined 5 points, and then they lost 5 straight and ended 5-7. Like,
yeah,
the past couple of years, just this bottom out in the month of November and late October is kind of crazy. Going up against the academies, while you have more time to prep for it, it's still very hard to prepare for. It tests your depth, and Cincinnati's already struggling with depth based off their transfer portal entries. So I'll go ahead. I'll take Navy.
I agree with you guys that I think Navy's going to win this game, but just to be different and to try to catch up, and because it's a big enough spread, I'll take Cincinnati to cover. I really don't believe that it's going to happen, but I sort of have no choice here as I'm bringing up the rear in the season-long competition. I need to make up ground here. Cincinnati, I'll be interested to see what like the vibes are like this offseason. You know, the way this thing ended for them. Just really does not feel like we talked earlier about Houston having a lot of positive momentum. It feels like Cincinnati is going in the other direction.
Hot take here. Travis Kelce retires from the Chiefs, becomes a general manager of Cincinnati football. What do you guys think about that?
Or the general manager of Taylor Swift's merch department.
That too.
I don't think so.
I think the latter pays more.
I think it's funny. It's a funny concept, but I think he's going to be busy. With the next phase of his life, which is probably going to be, a dad and that sort of thing. I don't know. Maybe he'll be bored. Maybe he will want to come back and help. But that's like a full-time job, right? Not like some of these like general manager jobs that like NBA guys or former NBA players are taking, where I'm not really sure that they're actual positions. They're more ceremonial. Yeah. Football GM's a real deal. All right, last game. This is the Holiday Bowl.
Let's do it.
It's Arizona and SMU. It's at 6 o'clock our time, 5 o'clock in San Diego, Snapdragon Stadium, where things kind of started to turn around for the Arizona Wildcats back in 2022 when they played San Diego State there and won that game. As we talked about earlier in the pod, there are no known opt-outs for the Wildcats in this game, but there are some potential ones still to be decided, the likes of Traden Stukes and maybe Dalton Johnson, now that he's in the East-West Shrine Bowl. A couple portal guys for SMU. One of them is a linebacker, DJ Warner, who played 207 snaps this year. And, of course, King Large, who really didn't play very much as an offensive tackle for them, but I just wanted to bring it up because his name is King Large.
Incredible.
He did go to Bosco, so I don't know. It could be someone who's on Arizona's radar. He's not that, like, he's bigger than us. He's 6'4", 316, but you think someone who's called King Large would be like 6'9", 370 or something of that nature.
With DJ Warner, because he's a Desert Edge guy, I believe Fish's. I think he's familiar with Tucson. I think Fish's crew was kind of in on him, so that might be something to look at as there's some linebacker turnover happening with Arizona. So just something to keep your eyes on.
I think it's like a dream scenario for Justin, for King Large and Rocky Beers to transfer to Arizona. Who's Rocky Beers, Justin?
Tight end at Colorado State, which is completely asinine that Coors Light, being in Colorado, had no NIL deal with this young man.
Truly.
But Rocky Beers, bring it to Arizona.
Yeah, the headline possibilities are endless with the likes of King Large and Rocky Beers, right? Get a little hair. Let's hear this sound effect here. Okay. Looking at this game, I think one of the big areas to look at is red zone. Okay. One of Arizona's semi-weaknesses, and we saw that a lot in the Territorial Cup, was red zone offense, right? called out over and over again. Only 48th in the country in red zone touchdown percentage. SMU really good at keeping people out of the end zone. 4th in the country, 38.6% touchdown rate. So I think that is a big one to watch. Another area I think is Arizona's pass pro against SMU's pass rush. SMU is 21st in the nation with 34 sacks. They average 1.8 sacks per game. I can't read my own. 2.83 sacks per game. Arizona has allowed 30 sacks. That's in the bottom kind of third or so of the country. They allow 2.5 sacks per game. So that's another area. Both very good in the turnover margin. And then, of course, you've got the number 3 pass defense in the nation, Arizona Wildcats, 155.9 yards per game against the number 12 passing offense for SMU, 283.5 yards per game, led by Kevin Jennings. So those are some of the key matchups. Arizona is a slight favorite in this game, favored by 2.5 points. What say you guys?
Man, I love the quarterback battle in this game. I love Kevin Jennings versus Noah Fafita. Now, the one thing to know about Kevin Jennings is that if you look at his rushing stats, you might think this guy is just a pocket passer. He's a guy that just operates in the pocket, and there is some truth to that, but he was battling a leg injury throughout most of the year. So he has been kind of limited as far as running, but maybe with so much time off between the regular season and the bowl game, maybe that gives him the time to get that leg right. So it wouldn't surprise me if for some reason Kevin Jennings broke off for a couple of runs against Arizona. So that's something to keep in mind. But Kevin Jennings is a really good quarterback. SMU, they have the number 1 passing offense in the ACC. And Lev, you said it. And to me, that is the biggest key is SMU's red zone defense. They are really good at keeping opponents out of the end zone. And if you look at Arizona's kicking situation, that operation has been very inconsistent all year long. Michael Salgado Medina, he ranks dead last in the Big 12 when it comes to field goal percentage. So if they're using Michael Salgado Medina a lot, that could be problematic. I still think Michael Salgado Medina has a bright future at Arizona, or I'm not ready to write him off just yet. I think that field goal operation will get better in the offseason, but if Arizona's settling for field goals, that might keep SMU in the ball game. But I think it could be similar to the Cincinnati game where Arizona, even if they go through adversity, they always fight to the end. That defense in the second half, they are always better in the second half than they are in the first half. And so I think if Kedrick Reesano and Quincy Craig and Ismail Mahdi, if the running backs can have maybe their best performance of the season, and if the defense can continue to play at the level that they're playing at, I think Arizona should win this game and make it 2 straight wins at Snapdragon Stadium. I'm going to go with Arizona to win this game. I've got Arizona winning 24-17.
Took the score right out of my mouth, Justin.
Really?
Okay. Yeah. I was going to go 24-17. I think not only can this U of A defense force turnovers, but when they do, they force turnovers in bunches. It's very rare where it's like, oh, we just had one. It's like if they get one, they get like 3. And Jennings has 10 picks on the year, so that could be a little advantageous there for the secondary. And then on the other side, you have Noah Fafita, who after the BYU game, he threw 1 interception all year. He takes great care of the football. I have been so impressed with not only his passing, but the way they've used him in the run game too. He's had a couple really important runs down the stretch of the season. So I think it's really cool that U of A could have 2 10-win seasons in 3 years, where they really had to kind of bottom out last year. And, it just shows kind of the importance of having a full offseason and instilling a culture. And you're seeing that benefit right away. And to have so many guys, again, things can change very, very quickly, but to have so few opt-outs and so few guys that are like, or so many of the guys are like, heck yeah, I'm playing, and heck yeah, I'm probably coming back. I think that's it. it's a really good spot that they're in right now, where they can kind of just play free. And as I said earlier, just kind of put a bow on the season, get to that 10-win mark, and then move off into 2026 and continue to try to this upward trajectory.
I wonder what the crowd is going to be like for this game. It feels like there's a lot of enthusiasm among U of A fans. They, of course, had trouble filling the building here at home, but San Diego is a very attractive holiday or anytime destination. I feel like it's going to be a pro UA crowd for this particular game, which I think will be a bit of a factor. Will the defense be the same if Traden Stukes and Dalton Johnson don't play? That is a question. It's impossible to answer. Something to ponder, to be sure. They do have, some pretty good potential substitutes in the likes of Gavin Hunter, who played earlier in the season and played at a really high level. Coleman Patman, also a possibility at that safety spot if Dalton should sit out. One more note I think that's important is SMU's offensive coordinator, Casey Woods, is accepted the head coaching job at Missouri State. But I don't think that's a huge deal for SMU because it's Rhett Lashley's offense.
Yeah.
Right. So that doesn't really change. I don't think that's a huge impediment for them in any shape or form. I think it's going to be a very good game, maybe a little higher scoring than you guys are saying, maybe something like 31-27. I'm going to take Arizona as the team that has the 31. I think it's really important for them to get that 10th win and become, that sort of that unique accomplishment in the history of the program of having 2 10-win seasons in a 3-year span. I think that is the kind of the biggest motivational factor that will propel them to victory, and it will really truly finish off this season that has mirrored the 2023 season in so many ways.
Yeah.
Lev, as the resident host with kids, when do they come back to school after break?
That would be
right after
that would be January 5th. And we are collectively driving back from San Diego on January 4th. So it's a little tight, a little bit of a tight turnaround there. But
that's why I asked. I wondered if that might deter some families from making the trip of like, oh, this is where if they had another week or so, they could justify it. But
I don't think so because first of all, you can drive, right? So
True.
You don't have to get on a plane if you're coming from Tucson. And there also are a lot of, U of A alums who live in Southern California, of course. And then, you can drive back on Sunday, right? Yeah. You still plenty of time to kind of get settled and get ready for school on Monday. But it's also it's a smaller capacity stadium, right? I think it's in the 30s as far as the total capacity. So I'm expecting like a really good atmosphere for this, which will be nice. And I think it's an open press box too, as we recall from last time. So it'll be nice to actually kind of feel what it feels like in the building as opposed to every home game where we're encased in glass and can't really tell what's going on out there. So it'll be cold. It'll be cold. I don't think we're going to get sunburned this time, Justin.
You going to participate in the casket toss?
Is that an option for media?
I don't know. I think is it Will and Trust or Trust and Will? That's the title sponsor. It's
you better get that right, dude.
Yeah.
You don't want to get the sponsor's name wrong.
Trust and Will Holiday
Trust
Bowl.
And Will. Okay.
It's like the Juice and Gin Arizona Bowl.
Yes.
Okay.
Juice and Gin.
Gotta get it right. Gotta get it right.
So I think like there's going to be some sort of thing where people are tossing footballs into a casket. Is that right? To win money.
This is real.
No, this is real. Yeah.
This is real. Yeah. Because the title sponsor is like an AI generated company that helps you get your will and your trust in order.
Yeah. Look at their official Twitter page, or I'm sorry, X account.
Oh my goodness.
There is something to that effect. Yes.
And Jordy, the guy that they use in the ad for it looks like the back of Kenny Dillingham. Like I saw that, I was like, that is Kenny Dillingham throwing a football into a casket. That is hilarious.
That's incredible. I love that the brands are leaning into this now and not just slapping their name on it. It's like, yes, let's have a live, quote unquote, live Pop-Tart mascot. Let's have all this craziness. Like this is You're a will and trust company. Like,
they're calling it the coffin toss. And apparently you can win $20,000.
This sounds like an I think you should leave sketch.
So.
The coffin toss is now $10,000. Oh my gosh.
Hey, real quick, I want to ask you guys this. So, well, first and foremost, after January 2nd, after the Holiday Bowl, that's it for the Sumlin era. Traydon Stukes, Dalton Johnson, those are the last two guys that are connected to Kevin Sumlin. That's at Arizona. So that'll be the end of the Sumlin era.
Watch them come back as GAs eventually.
That'd be hilarious. As far as Noah Fafita, I think he is already there. But, man, being the quarterback of 2 10-win seasons, getting the bowl games, the stats to go along with that solidifies him as the best in U of A history, right?
Yes. That, okay. And then staying when he had every chance not to. And even though last year was a down year, like that was really important to T-Mac's season last year was having him. So, yeah. And just the fact that he's sticking around and being a, 4-year quarterback, that's a rarity these days. So totally.
Absolutely. You can make arguments for others right now, but if he's healthy next season and has basically the same statistical year, he'll end up with 12,000 yards, and the current record is about 10,000 and 100 touchdown passes, and he holds the record now at 70. At that point in time, there will be no debate.
Yeah.
Like just figuring out where to put the statue. That'll be the only question.
Well, and even just like the small things he does of like, he really only talks in post game after losses. Like when it's a win, he lets the other guys get parade. Like those little things that maybe the general public isn't super like they may know, but I feel like that should be more widespread of like, he's the one that just doing kind of these little things, like slightly in front of the scenes or slightly behind the scenes. Like he's been so important to this program. And
little things like endorsing Raising Cane's.
Yeah. Those little things. When's your endorsement coming, by the way?
Great NIL deal. I don't know. I'm still waiting. I got a Raising Cane's Christmas ornament, newest addition to the Spears tree. All right.
We got to get you on that Cane sauce train.
I know, man. I know. All right. So we all got Arizona in the Holiday Bowl?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. Good deal. All right. The Trust and Will Holiday Bowl on January 2nd in San Diego, Snapdragon Stadium, or as T-Mac called it, Dragon Slayer Stadium. It's going to be a fun one in San Diego, Arizona versus SMU. Jordan, thank you, dude. Thank you for being our guest picker for the entire season. I'm not sure when we're going to get you on the next podcast, but dude, we told you, we were like, like every few weeks or so, because I know you're a busy guy and everything. But the fact that you joined as many times as you did, you didn't have to, and we appreciate you and your time, man. Thank you.
Absolutely, man. And it was a blast. One of the things throughout the week that I always look forward to, we all know what football season can be like, and it's a mad dash. But whenever it was midday on Wednesday, it was like, okay, we're going to have some fun for the next 45 minutes. So
for sure, man.
Thank you for having me on. And yeah, it was a blast this year.
Yes, thank you, Jordan. And Jordan also has he has a chance to win this thing as a rookie. So we haven't determined what we're actually winning or losing or whatever. So maybe we'll have that discussion offline here, some sort of lunch or something.
Yeah.
In honor.
I'm not sitting in a Waffle House for 24 hours.
I still like the loser has to go into the shirt.
Oh God, no, that is not happening. Nope.
We have enough notice to do some crunches and eat our salads, but
I'm going to draw a 6-pack on my belly. I'm going to Sharpie it. All right. It should be a fun one in San Diego. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays to everyone. Jordan, thank you, man. Appreciate you. Absolutely. Have fun. You going to El Paso?
I'll be in El Paso, and then we have Jordan Spurgeon and Brad Sesmat will be out at the Holiday Bowl. So they both have places out in San Diego. So it was hard for me to try to weasel my way into that one. So,
well, El Paso rolls out the red carpet, man. So safe travels. Enjoy El Paso. And we'll see you guys in San Diego. You can find all of our coverage of the Holiday Bowl on Tucson.com and the Wildcaster mobile app. And as always, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and comment the Wildcast podcast on Apple and Spotify.